Yeah.
Right now in April, nobody cares about The Night Before Christmas, right?
Yeah.
That book is
Uh-huh.
$5.
Yeah.
But in November, when everyone's like, right, I need to go read that to my kid in December,
Yeah.
that book spikes to like $50. This is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
This is an all-day book. This is a
Okay.
book you buy 5-6 times, couple $100 in your pocketbook.
What's up, everybody? I got Victor Gallegos here today. He is the owner of the seasonal online book arbitrage Facebook community group. And this dude is absolutely insane because he does the Amazon game completely different than I do. I find undervalued books on Amazon, flip on Amazon, where he is a little bit more smart about it. He actually finds books that have seasonal demand. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty. I'm assuming he does a lot of textbook season, probably a lot of these other things like Christmas and Thanksgiving, but don't want to spoil it all in this intro. So I just want to say, Victor, thank you so much for being here. And I'm so excited to interview.
Oh man, thank you. I really appreciate being on the channel. I mean,
Yeah.
you're a great asset to the community, and any opportunity I had to get on here to really help out others, I'm all about it.
I appreciate it so much. All right, let's get right into it. So I just kind of want to start with your journey. So I know you've been selling for a few years here. So if you wouldn't mind just telling us kind of what year did you start? What sort of revenue were you posting every year? And then just for the last year, 2022, what sort of profit, if you don't mind spilling into like, what kind of money do you actually make doing this?
I can start how I started with books.
Yeah.
Basically, I kind of have a similar story when I was in college. I remember getting my college books, right? Getting a college book, and then after the end of the semester, getting that book and selling it to the bookstore, and say they would give me like $40 for it, right? And then noticing 3 weeks later, right? Because at the end of December, now in January, 3 weeks later, they didn't touch the book. Right? They didn't touch it at all. They left it in the same exact spot, but that same now $40 book is now $90.
Yep.
They didn't do anything. And as a person who's an avid entrepreneur, I knew that there was opportunities here. Like I couldn't believe that you could just sit there and make something literally more than double the price by doing nothing.
Right.
So I just started learning about books that way. I kind of got my own little. I made some flyers at the school. And I just printed out tons of flyers, handed them out, put them all at all the dorms. And every Saturday I would meet at like a Starbucks or something and buy a book. And at this time I didn't know, there was no such thing, I don't think, as Keepa or anything like that. What I did was I went to these buyback companies and typed in how much this book could sell for. And I would offer the students $5 more, maybe even at the price. And almost always, they would always accept it because I guess whatever the bookstore was offering them was much less than that. So I would take those books and then sell them on eBay. And I knew that from that point on, I made quite a bit of money just doing that, right? Nothing with Keepa, nothing like that at all. And, kind of fast forward a little bit when I was looking for an Amazon business. And the reason why I decided to pick Amazon, because I really enjoyed the FBA process. Just sending in whatever inventory it is, and then it gets sent out. I don't have to be like locked at my desk or my house every day, having to ship out stuff that day and stressing out. So I was like, okay, what can I do? Then I recalled what I did in college, and I made thousands of dollars as a college student. This was amazing, right? So I knew that if I could do something like that, on Amazon. So I, again, still didn't know what Keepa was, but so what I did was I went on eBay, looked at books, and then typed that ISBN number down Amazon. And if I could find it cheaper, I bought it. No Keepa chart. No, I didn't know about it at all.
Wow.
Right. And then from that point on, I kind of I went through a semester. The January textbook season happened, sold tons of books from that. And I kind of noticed that these prices of books started dropping. So I was looking for like some type of tracking system that could tell me a book was dropped in price. And so I typed in some weird thing, some type of tracker on Google, and Keepa popped up. Oh my gosh, on my own, I found Keepa. And once I found that, I couldn't believe that these little dips and spikes happen in books. I loved it. And I went all in. My first semester with Keepa, I bought, like $25,000, $30,000 worth of inventory, sold it all for like $50,000. And I remember thinking, this can't be true. I can't be selling this. Like, this can't happen. I can't be buying this books and selling it for this. But once that first semester happened, once I sold my first semester with Keepa at 50,000, I right away immediately started a Facebook group, and I was like, I need to help out others. I need to help out. I need to give back, because this is game changing. This is life changing for anybody who is out there. So that was about 4 years ago. My Facebook group is about 4 years old. I've grown it. I haven't really advertised about it, right? I don't go out and do any things with it, but it's grown from nothing to about 900 people. So I've been doing that for about 4 years, and so I kind of go into my first year like 250. Next year a
Wow.
little over 300, 350. Fourth year or third year a little over 400, 420, and last year right over 500,000. I made $506,000 and about
506,000.
25% profit.
That's
So
insane.
well over $100,000. It has helped me out. I didn't really get to introduce, like, even say that about myself, but I'm part of the fire community, so
Yep.
that has really helped me fire. Like, once I realized that I could do this on my own, I could be anywhere and sell books. I knew that this was the business plan for me. So
That's so cool. Yeah, thank you so much for going through that whole process of how you started. I mean, I started back in school as well. And for anyone out there, and it's weird, I'm looking at my YouTube analytics and I don't have very many 18 or younger audience members. But dude, I'm like, if I just had some 18 to like 20 audience members, like, dude, we could literally be changing a life right now just picking up books on college campuses. So it's really interesting hearing how you picked up books on college campuses, but it looks like creating a brand, putting flyers out there, meeting people at a coffee shop, because also interviewed Warner Fields, and he actually did something very similar, which is very cool. Now, specifically, you do seasonal arbitrage, right? And when I think of
right.
seasonal arbitrage, what comes to mind is textbook season. That's the stereotypical arbitrage.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also something that's talked a lot about, and there's other seasons that are not talked about so much. So could you kind of go through what are some of the other seasons besides textbook season that could be very profitable, and how would you like rank them in order of like, this is the greatest opportunity?
So the reason why I kind of decided seasonal is because it's the most profitable. It is the
Okay.
most profitable part of Amazon. You don't have to show up on a specific date. You don't have to, like, you literally have months to buy a certain product. I right now and I talked about this in in our group. Like Christmas books, you can buy them today. You can wait a month from today. It'll still be $5. Like just think of an example. The Night Before Christmas. We all know when that book is exciting, right? The Night
Yeah.
Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Right now in April, nobody cares about The Night Before Christmas, right?
Yeah.
That book is
Uh-huh.
$5.
Yeah.
But in November, when everyone's like, right, I need to go read that to my kid in December,
Yeah.
that book spikes to like $50, and
Yeah.
it's done it every year, since like I'm past the 80s, since way before Keepa.
Yeah.
And because some people ask me, well, how do you know this year it's gonna do the same thing as it did the year before? And I was like, I don't know if you've heard, but I don't think Christmas is being canceled. Right? The same
Yeah.
Christmas books that repeated last year is going to repeat the
Yeah.
year before that and before
Yeah.
that. And this is
Okay.
why I pick seasonal books. I pick seasonal books because it's almost guaranteed. And I look for patterns,
Mhm.
and it's the easiest way to grasp this. I don't have to like go to Keepa Dills, be on Keepa Dills every day. I don't do what was it, Flip Mind? I don't do that. I have a whole set of books that are all seasonal, and I have like 2-3 months to buy them whenever I decide it's interesting or deciding when it's time to buy them. So I buy Christmas books. So great time. I have
Okay.
about 400 books that I track in Christmas. I have high school books. Now, high school books is a whole another amazing category.
Yep.
The reason why high school books are amazing, which I hear you're a high school teacher, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's cool about high school is that these books are old. Like, they're
Oh.
10, 15, 20 years old. Every other category, every other textbook, the first thing you have to do is, oh, how old is this book? Okay, it's 3 years
Yep.
old. A new edition's about to show up. Nope, not
Yep.
in high school. A high school book will be a high school book selling for the next 15 years.
I can confirm that the chemistry books in my classroom were there when I was in high school. So yes, that is true.
And that book is still selling because here's what happens with those high school books, okay? The kid loses the book, and I'm sure you know this, but the rest of the audience doesn't, right? The kid loses the book. The kid has to go and pay full retail price to replace the book. They're like, oh my gosh, I have to pay $160 to replace this book, or I could go to Amazon and buy it for $20, $30, $40, right? And so what they do, I get a ton of parents in May buy high school books from me so that they don't have to pay retail back to the high school.
That's so interesting.
Sometimes there's like beat up high school books, and so the actual schools will buy the books from me. So high school books are another, and again, another reason why I pick high school books is because they're almost counterfeit proof, because if the school district buys them from the publisher, how can a counterfeit person get in the middle of that? It's, you have like Bobby's name on the book, it's guaranteed that, Bobby, ninth grade, you're good. This is not a counterfeit book. And so
I love it.
I find and hone into books that are almost counterfeit proof. I don't have the same worries as most sellers do with books. I just stay away from stuff like that. Again, so okay, it was Christmas books, high school books.
Okay.
I even have, which is kind of this weird thing, but I also find books that have a repeatable new season or new edition type of books. So
Okay.
like, say if a book is like in the 16th edition, it's about to go into the 17th edition, but every time that book moves to the next edition, because Amazon's no longer on the listing, the price of the book spikes. So I can predict when that 16th edition is about to end and the 17th edition is about to come out. I knew that 16th edition is about to spike, so I'll buy books on the 16th edition that's about to leave, knowing that it's going to spike again because it happened the other 16th edition, the other 16 times. Right. So I can even kind of track that. So I don't know, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm taking
No. I'm loving this as all. You're adding so much value. And I say this every time. Most of these interviews are for me, like selfishly for me, because I want to learn so much about this from you. I mean, you're doing it completely different than I am, which is why I'm so intrigued. And I'm sure so many people on my channel are intrigued. Now, obviously the question is, how exactly would you find a book that is a Christmas book? I can think of ways of maybe you go to Amazon.com, type in Christmas and maybe, Christmas book, and that comes up. That's probably more of a beginner way to do it. I actually went on Keepa product finder last night and just typed in the title Christmas and looked at the book category. I said, hey, find me a book that's had maybe $25 average value over the last 180 days, and came back with like, I don't know, 100 or 200 books that have Christmas in them. And I was able to filter through some of them. And actually, I'm going to dive right into Keepa to see what your thoughts are on them, and if you can give us some expertise since you sell them. But I'm curious, before we do that, what would you say is the best way to find a high school textbook, to find a Christmas book?
Sure. I mean, you kind of hit it right on the head there. It's exactly what I do. Okay. I go to either Keepa or Amazon and type in keyword AP textbook, high school textbook, but literally, and then go from there and look at the Keepa charts. And when you hit on one, when you know okay, this is a really great high school textbook, go below that page, like, kind of in the middle to the end of the page. Amazon will recommend other high school books because they think, hey, you're a high school kid, probably wants other textbooks. These are also the other high school books. Find one, huge. You found them all, because literally click on the one and you can just go and it's like a spider, right? A spider web out there. You can find them all that way. And
that's so cool. All right, let's
basically it's just kind of taking in time to find them.
Awesome. Let's dive right into it, because I have some books here and you haven't seen this. We haven't talked behind the scenes. I know you have some of your own prepared, so I'm curious to see what you think about this. But let's go ahead and
excited.
Let's go ahead and show you everyone what we got here. So can you just can you see my screen? Okay, Victor?
I can see your screen.
Okay, so here's one of the books that popped up, The First Christmas. I'd also be interested to know if these are books that you're selling, but this is something to me that definitely looks like it has spiked come November, December. Offer count definitely just went all the way down to basically zero. And if we go out, expand the data, it looks like this is something that is definitely very seasonal. But I'm curious, on a book like this, is this something that you would want to be buying? How deep would you go? Things like that.
Oh, Joji, man, you picked an awesome book. I was worried you were going to pick books that I was like, okay, I guess maybe. This is a no-brainer. Yeah. This is an all-day book. This is a book you buy 5-6 times and make, this is a couple of $100 in your pocketbook. You go buy this. And what I love about this is, like, you can see April 22 to like July 22 over there. You could have bought this anytime at all. That's what I mean. You don't have to show up any specific date to buy this. Any day you want to, you can buy it here, and it goes up to $35, $40. And so what I'll do is show up here in May, buy the book, buy like 5-6 copies of this particular book. Let's see, I'd probably buy maybe 6 copies of this book.
6 copies. Okay, can you delve into it? Why would you say 6 copies?
Okay, so what I try to do is only buy about 5% of the market. Okay. I don't try to buy more than that, because if I do, then I own the market, and I'm not the publisher. I can't guarantee that there's no other books out there that are going to show up and kind of mess up the listing.
Right.
So I try my best to, like, that's a safety net for me. I won't buy more than about 5%.
Cool.
But here, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really curious to know, what is your sort of pricing method? Because obviously you need to sell it, but it looks to me that basically offer count almost always goes down to 0. But I'm curious, your pricing strategy, is it like uniform everything? Like, you bought 6 copies, everything's going to be $39.99, or is it going to be the first copy we're still at $29.99, then we'll go up? Is it like you're trying to exploit the buy box up here? Because I mean, look at these buy box prices. We're up to 46, even though the lowest merchant is 30. So how do you go about pricing these copies if you have like 6 of them?
Yeah, good question. So what I do is I used to try to price a little bit more dynamically.
Okay.
But I'm a one man shop here, right? I don't have
Uh-huh.
VA. So what I do basically is I buy the 6 copies.
Uh-huh.
I send them into a prep center, and then
Okay.
I just list them for the price that I know they're going to sell at. This
Okay.
particular book, probably like $42. I listed
42.
for
Okay.
42.99,
Okay.
and then all 6 of them will sell, and that's it. Like
That's it.
I don't need to do anything else.
Yeah.
But if you go back just to a year, if you could,
Okay. So go back to a year. Sorry. Go back to
yeah,
a
just a
year.
year.
Okay.
Yeah, and so do you see there in October the kind of the
October.
peak in the
Right here.
use count? Yeah, right
Right
there,
here.
where
20.
20, and then it starts going down.
Yep.
That is a really great indicator that this is going to be another great year. This
Okay.
book, this is it. So if I started seeing that, I would probably buy another book, even if it was at $15, $16, because
Okay.
I saw that happening. And
Okay.
every healthy book does
Uh-huh.
this before the season happens.
It starts to
So
go down well before. Is that what you're
it
saying?
starts to go down well before. So like
Okay.
college books, if they start doing this in July, go buy
Mhm.
another copy. This is going to be a great book.
Gotcha. That's
And
huge.
it's almost rare. It's almost never happens that it goes down and then goes back up for August. It when it
Right.
starts going like that, it's like you're literally just taking all the copies down, and it's about to spike. It's almost inevitable.
Right. It's fascinating. So definitely the first Christmas here. This came out in 1984, everyone. So I'm curious for a book.
1984.
Yeah, 1984. You mentioned you have a list for this, a book list.
I do.
Would you also track this with Keepa, or it's like you already know this is a book you're gonna look at anyway, so it doesn't matter to track it?
Yeah, I don't. It's the weirdest thing. I don't track books like that. I don't
Okay.
track one day that it's dropped. No, I track books of this is the book.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna go buy this in May. So in
Okay.
May, show up, buy the book. Like I don't
Got-
have a specific. I gotta buy it on May 10th, or that if it drops a little bit. No, I just like in
Gotcha.
May go buy this book.
Yeah. So next book we got here, this is a Christmas Carol. This is a pop-up book, so maybe a little bit more of a special book. What's kind of interesting is the buy box price is already 45, which seems quite inflated for this book, considering that the lowest merchant's 1483. But here's another book that again shows some seasonality found with product finders. So I'm curious. This is, obviously definitely a little bit different, but what are your thoughts on this book here?
Oh, I also like this book. I wouldn't go as deep.
Okay.
It's not as in demand.
Okay.
Maybe like 2 or 3 copies of this
Okay.
book. It does clump pretty well there in December. So,
Okay.
2, 3 copies. I
Okay.
do like how high the spread is there. As you kind
Yeah.
of clicked on one year, it was like at one point like $9 or $4 or whatever
Yeah.
that was down
It's
there in
down to
September.
basically like $9. Crazy. Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's what I do.
Yeah.
I do this thousands and thousands of times. I just
Gotcha.
buy books just like this.
And
And you know what? Nobody's worried about this being counterfeit.
yeah, that's completely true. This came out in 1984, or sorry, this came out in 2010. I'm curious,
Yeah.
like this is a book that right now is actually historically cheaper than when it will be when it comes in
Yeah.
December. Yet the buy
Mhm.
box price, even though it was kind of hanging out here right around the $23, is actually back up to 42. So how often do you actually sell these books that are meant for December, like in September or in October? And also, when do you plan to send these in? Like you mentioned, you buy it in May. Do you hold it for 3 months and then send it in, or how does that work?
Man, I love your questions. So every year it kind of feels like weird, but I start buying Christmas books in March.
Okay, March.
March,
Okay.
April, it just kind of happens. Like I buy
Okay.
my first Christmas book because it's just dirt cheap.
Yeah.
There's a particular dirt cheap book, and I buy it, and I always think, all right, Christmas season started.
Mhm.
But usually I actually buy most of my Christmas books May, June, July, as you can kind of see
Mhm.
from even this chart.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I kind of tend to do. I buy them, then I immediately send them in. And you'd be surprised. People are buying these books in May, June, and like I sell almost all my books
That's crazy.
like before even November, just because
That's
people are
that's
already getting
crazy.
excited about them.
That's crazy.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
And you have to think of it this way, because I just got this question in our group
Mhm.
asking me, hey, this book is, should I buy this Christmas book today? Like we're still months and months away from Christmas. I'm like, the storage for a book is 4 cents.
Yeah.
Like if you are not, that book is like $6 and you're going to sell
Yeah.
it for 40 and we're worried about 4 cents.
Right.
You're not thinking of this correctly.
And also it's like the goal is to sell it by an actual date. Like when that thing needs to sell, right? So that's
Yeah,
another way to think about it. I,
exactly.
so I got another book here. I heard the bells on Christmas, October 14th, 2009. So again, this is something that I found that looks interesting. I'm curious. I think these new prices kind of making the graph maybe a little bit harder to see. But actually, the use price spiked really high. I'm curious, for a book like this, what are you thinking?
Wow. You keep finding winners here.
Let's
I
go.
mean, you could tell that you've been a bookseller for many years because
Yeah.
I'm done to have three like winners like this. This is amazing. Do you see
Awesome.
the July price?
Yeah. Right.
$4. And then whatever that
$1.39.
is in December, it's like $50, whatever it is up
I
below
think
the
it's
top.
like to most like up there, maybe like 50,
$60.
50,
Yeah.
60 even. Yeah.
I mean,
Crazy.
Joji, seeing this, how would you not buy this?
I know. I was like kind of shocked at how many books are like this. It got me really giddy and really excited because I'm like,
And it's
20,
every
14,
year.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That looks
It
very
doesn't skip.
interesting. Yeah.
And that's all I do. Like there's 400 400 just winter books that I buy.
Okay.
And all of those have very similar graphs like that, where I can buy them for $4, $5 and then sell them for 50. And even this particular book, which I didn't mention, I probably would buy, this is quite a bit, maybe like another 6 copies, 5 or 6 copies.
6 copies. Okay, so going back, what was your rule again for what percentage of the market you said?
About 5% of the
About
market.
5% of the market. Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. One really interesting book that I have here, because in your Facebook post, you mentioned books that have no sales rank. I'm really interested in Keepa Inaccuracies, which means, sort of the advice people give is that, and including me, that when the sales rank drop, that equates to a sell, which is maybe not necessarily true, but obviously sales rank is an indicator of how popular something is relative to another. But the real reason why I wanted to bring this up is, like, if you look at this book specifically, sales rank dropped 1, 2, 3 times from October to December, and you're thinking, okay, maybe this book only sold 3 times. But if you look at offer count, it was 12, and eventually it does get down there to 1. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on a book like this that clearly shows that offer count goes down, use price goes up, but you see very few sales rank drops?
Yeah, and this is a good question. It brings up in a whole different part of the conversation here. So Keepa, right, is in Amazon. Keepa has to get its information from Amazon, and so it limits them. They're not allowed to pull down 62 million books and every other product there is every minute. So they have to prioritize what they get from Amazon, and so they get it based on ranking. So Keepa pulls like the top 100,000 books maybe once an hour, and then the 100 to 500,000 rank, they probably do that once every 4 hours, and then it continues goes less than that. So 500 to a million, maybe once every 6 hours, maybe once every 12 hours, and then past that point, it could actually be up to like 2 weeks before they pull the book. So this green line that you're seeing doesn't necessarily mean that it's not selling. It's just that Keepa's lost interest because it's at 5 million. So nobody's out here trying to buy that book often. So it's like it's letting it basically kind of die on its own. It's not until somebody goes in to Keepa and asks to pull this book, to pull down the graph, does Keepa even go and look at this copy. So it might not even actually sold that day in October. It just realized, okay, it's actually much lower in sales rank, and so we're going to just count that as a sell. But it actually could have sold much earlier than that. It stopped tracking this book.
Gotcha.
And how you can kind of tell that, Joji, is when you go to Keepa and go to a Keepa chart, on the top, it'll tell you the last time it's checked. Not on Amazon, but if you went to Keepa, it'll tell you last time checked.
I gotta go to that. That's actually insane. So if we're gonna find, hold on, we're gonna find this book here. So I would just find the ASIN and go ahead and search this on Keepa. So it tells you.
I'm not making this stuff up.
Okay, so
do you see right there, 40 minutes ago?
40 minutes ago. Gotcha.
Last change 40 minutes ago. So this is probably because you just pulled it up 40 minutes ago.
Interesting.
But a lot of times, if you had just shown up, you could have seen this last updated 4 days ago, right? For a book that's really dead like that. So you can know, okay, Keepa has lost track of this, lost interest in this book and stuff like that. But you can go, if you can find a book that has been over an hour, there's a little refresh thing right next to the 40 minutes. So if it says an hour or more, so this one's 40 minutes, so it had to wait another 20 minutes. But if there was another book that was an hour or more, there would be a little refresh button, and you can make it refresh that second.
Wow, that is actually insane. So it's possible for you to find a book that was tracked, how many days ago? Like 100 days ago? Is that possible? Like
the last time, there are books that have been forgotten about up to 2 weeks ago. I don't think Keepa. I think Keepa at least tracks it every 2 weeks. I don't know that for a fact. I've never seen a book less or longer than that. But
that's
I guess it may
fascinating.
be possible.
Okay, well, with that in mind, this is a book that well, one, is this something that you would even look at? Because obviously I would argue that it's selling, even though sales rank isn't dropping, for a few reasons. One, offer count's dropping, used price is also adjusting as a result. And then also the review count is going up. And it's like, if the review count, which is indicated by this number up here, is going up, why would it be going up? Because people are actually reviewing the product because they bought it. So I'm curious, is this something that you would still look at?
So, if I had basically what the answer is, yeah, sure, but there's 400 better Christmas books. So it's like, cool, yeah, this book sold 8 times. I don't know if you saw the other books. They were selling, hundreds of times for $5 and selling for 60. Beat that, and then let's look at this. If I was like, this is the last book out there, it is selling. It did sell. You can obviously see that the ratings went up and the use count went down. It is selling, but it's not selling like the other books. This is definitely a very close to dead book, but it's still selling.
Are there any Christmas books that you prepare? I know you prepared some books. Are there any Christmas books that you prepared that you want to show?
Sure. I didn't know whether or not who was going to show what books, so I do have a couple of Christmas books. I actually have a example of Christmas, high school, and all year round books that I would be interested in showing. So it's up to you which way you want to go with.
Let's do you think we did a good job of covering Christmas, or do you think there's something else?
I think we covered Christmas. If people aren't interested in Christmas now, I don't know what to tell you. We found books for $5 and selling them for 60. What else do you want from us?
So let's look at the high school books, if you don't mind. That'd be awesome. Okay. So if you want to go and share your screen, and then we can get into that, that'd be awesome. All right. So Victor, you mentioned that you want to give us some high school books to look at. So what are we looking at here?
All right. So we just kind of, Joji, you asked me just right before this stream went live to pick up a few high school books. So these aren't necessarily my best winners, but these are definitely some of them. I have about 2,000 high school books that I track. Wow. And these just happen to be 4 of them that are pretty interesting. Again, very similar to Christmas books in the fact that they're literally a couple of dollars and then they all spike. It's the same kind of similar situation. All right. Cool. You can see that last year, this book was at $3-4, right? Over here at $3-4. Yep. And in August and September, which a high school book has a different pattern than college books. Yep. High school books only spike during August and September. Yep. So we can see this book went from $3, over here to $40. Yep. So again, just buy this book around this time frame, $3-4 over here, and sell it for $40 there. Is it? There's no right? you don't even have to. Yeah, you don't even have to track this book. Just show up here in May.
Show May. I'm curious. So there's in the offer count right there in May, the offer count drops off a little cliff. Go back to May. Keep going to the left. Go back to May. Look at the offer count. Yeah. You use the offer count, drops off a cliff. Is that my boy Victor picking up some copies?
That's probably me. Yeah, I'm serious. That is probably exactly me. We could probably go back and check, and I'm out there buying these books. Okay. It is the perfect example. Awesome. Just a perfect example of a high school book. So I got a few more, and then we can keep going, because I did see you posted a book, or just quickly there, that is a really amazing high school book. So let's get to that one too. But all right, another high school book. And again, I could literally repeat this back and forth over and over again. But here's another high school book. I don't know if you recognize it, but
I flipped that before. I flipped it a few times.
Yeah, definitely a high school book. It spikes here in August, but you can see over here, this book is $25, $28, $30, but in its peak over here is $88. Yeah, so, there's no reason to buy and track other books. You just come here, show up in May, buy it for 25 and sell it for 88. That's the whole thing over here. And right now this book is $18. So if you're seeing this right now and you're interested in buying high school books, buy this book for $18. And come over here and sell this book, at least for 60, right?
Yeah, and there's repeated history of this happening, and everyone, you don't have to go deep on it. You could just prove a concept, buy one copy of 10 different high school books and see what happens, right? Roll the dice and see what happens.
And every August and September it does the same exact thing. We can do this all day. It literally had the same pattern, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a book that has the same exact pattern every year. If I see a book that has dropped off, it stopped being a great book like this, or it's not doing as well, or it doesn't have a really good little spike here, I won't buy it. there's so many high school books and so many Christmas books and all. I can be picky. I don't have to like hope that a book is going to spike again this year. No, I need for it to know.
I want to
And
know
so
how many of these books have you already found? Like, are you already in the total addressable market of this? Is it like you're finding new high school books and new Christmas books all the time? Or is it like, dude, you already done the research, you got the whole list, you already know what you're buying?
So most of my time is spent on either buying these books that are now set up that I need to buy them at that specific month, or I'm also out there searching for adding to my inventory list. And so, say for instance, in the last week, I found another 50 seasonal books that I've added to my list. So I'd say maybe every week I probably find another 50 that are great like winners to add to my list and the month I need to buy them in.
You're a madman. You're doing $500,000 with this strategy? That's crazy.
I mean, how can you not? I'm buying books for $5 and selling for $60.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. Do you have any other examples? Any like maybe one more high school example?
One more high school example. Okay, okay. So this is a specific example I shared in my Facebook group. It is again a great book. It is one of my like, I don't know, top 20 high school books that I love to buy just because of how great the selling season is. We are starting here in July 8th. It just keeps going and going and going and going the whole time.
Crazy.
This book sells like mad, right?
Yeah.
And if you track this book, we're anytime you want to come over here and buy this book, $16, $20, $25. Now it's at $21.
Yeah.
You can. And sell this book for well over, this is a book that's over $100.
Can you expand the data a little bit? I'm curious just to see what the patterns look like in the past.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's probably
the same exact pattern.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's absolutely insane.
Every year it spikes. So once I noticed this, once I was like, okay, there's no counterfeit worries here. This book always spikes. It's pretty much guaranteed. Why am I doing anything else? So
you figured it out. It's super awesome. I definitely see this fitting into my business strategy and changing a little bit. So Victor, I appreciate you providing such a service to the community. This is awesome. Was there anything else that you wanted to show here, or can I go ahead and switch back?
Sure. I have one more thing because I did. Okay. So I mentioned that I have high school books and winter books. And basically I have one other kind of weird kind of quirky way that I also find books. I look at books that have new edition and what I'm doing is I'm looking at the old edition to see if when the old edition kind of stops being the newest edition, right, and the new edition happens, if the old edition kind of spikes in price. And if it does, I go and look to see if I can find a pattern like that of this newer edition and kind of track that.
Okay.
And so here's a book that I'm sure we kind of like passed by. Let me click on it. Okay, so this is it. This book, if you were to see this book, nobody would buy this book because like, okay, yeah, it's a great, very high demand book, but there, it's $165 now and it went down to $133. There's nothing here at all, right? And this is what's kind of clues me in is that this is the 21st edition of this book. Okay. So this is a really high in demand book, but it's it's in the market. There's nothing up here to be buying. But what I did was I found the 20th edition to see if this, like usually a book that sells like this, if Amazon ever goes off the market, it usually spikes. I was trying to figure out when it would spike. Well, you can do that by looking at the 20th edition. So I've clicked on the 20th edition and kind of realized, okay, so it stops after this particular date. And so if you notice here, this book was at $129, and once it sells out, it's $289, $426.
That's crazy.
And it continues to go way over that price. We're at $380, $260, and this price is over here at $119.
And that's while the new edition's out. Is that correct?
And that's while the new edition's out.
That's
exactly.
Insane.
So I've tracked this book. This is a safe book to kind of talk about because we're still a year out. This book will sell out in a year, and you can buy this book for $160 or something like that. And this book in a year from now will be selling for $400. So, if you want to track this book or remember about it in a year from now, you can buy this book for $160 and sell it for $400. And so those are type of examples I do. So that was it.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. I want to go back because you did mention high school books, and so I do want to go look at a high school book as well. So let me go and stop sharing. Yeah, go and stop sharing, and then I can go ahead and I'll share, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I have this book for you here. This is Calculus for AP. This is obviously going to be a chemistry book. This came out in 2016. Now, the reason why I thought this is amazing is because if you clearly look at the last 4 or 5 years, it has that stereotypical off season, in season, it's spiking in price. And I know you made a Facebook post about this book specifically where you're like, hey, I've been buying this book for $90 in off season, selling it for $150 pretty much all day. I'm curious though, if you look at the last season, so like this is a book that you would think is going to continue to happen, right? Like this pattern is sort of repeating itself. But then in this past textbook season, you actually notice in August and September when it was spiking, we actually didn't see that same spike. And this was kind of one of the reasons back in the day when I was using eFlip is I probably didn't know as much as I know now about Keepa and analyzing books, but I would buy books that it looked good. Like the past historical data said, hey, this should go up in price. And then a lot of times it didn't. So I'm curious, on a book like this that theoretically should have gone up in price during this time based on past historical data, but didn't, what do you do in that case? And is there a way to spot whether or not that is likely to happen?
Yeah, good question. This has been a great book of mine for years, and it's sad to see it kind of die off. But
Yeah.
How you can tell that a book is kind of going out is by seeing last year's trend versus the year before. And
Gotcha.
if you can see that the spike didn't happen as well, it didn't have that last little, like the little top part to it. It kind of just kind of flattened out there in August. You can kind of see there. And that happened. That was 2022, right? Or
Yeah,
2021,
that was
2 years ago.
2021. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
and then just recently
So
2022
right.
here.
So if you compare the two, you can see one kind of really had a really great spike, the other one didn't.
Right.
And so immediately you can tell this is not going to be a great. The next year is not going to be a great year for this book, and you can tell that after that was the first early signal. And the next thing you can definitely tell is by how much it's went up in used offer count. You can see up there it's now in well over 100. And so this book is definitely on its way out. It's not going to be nowhere near as good as it was, but that doesn't mean it's not flippable.
Correct.
So what I'm thinking, I don't know what the price of this book is now, but
it's literally $5.
Oh, I was about to say at $5, at $9, this book will at least go for 35. So you'll probably be able to buy this book for 10 and sell it for like 35. There's still profit there. You'll still make
get rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll still make money from it because it'll still have a really great textbook season because it still has a lot of demand, but it's nowhere near what it was in the years past.
All right, Victor. So something that's super interesting as well is in your Facebook community, you posted you love no sales rank books. And so for anyone who doesn't know what that means, if you go down to the product detail page, Amazon might not publish a sales rank for a book, even despite the fact that it's actually selling. So the first thing that I'd like to know is how do you even find a no sales rank book? What sort of metrics are you using if sales rank isn't available to you to know that this is something that is worth picking up and you can sell?
Books like this are gems. You just get so excited when you're able to find a book like this. And how I found this book was I was actually keeping it on my inventory list since 2020. I noticed that there was no longer a sales rank, and I went to go look at it and noticed that Amazon for some reason stopped publishing the sales rank for it. So there's two things that could have happened. The book is either dead or for some other unknown reason, Amazon's forgotten about it. Now, the second part, if Amazon just forgot about it, but the book isn't dead, this is by far the best book for you because nobody's tracking the book. Nobody knows the book is dropped. Nobody knows anything. To them, it's a ghost book. But because you have kept going with this book, it's been all yours. So for the last like 3 years or 2 years, I had this book on my own, but I felt kind of bad. So I mean, plus I really want to help out my group. I do. I really want everyone to try to succeed. And so I was like, hey guys, here is an amazing book. And how you can tell is there in August, right? Over there in July and August, you can see the used book count, used offer count kind of really dropped a lot. And that's how you can kind of tell that this book is still selling quite a bit. Plus you can see that the years passed before it stopped tracking it, before Amazon stopped tracking it, that it was also selling. So this is a book that'll definitely go really, really well. And you can see it did drop down to, I don't know, like $12. Where did it go in there?
Right here. Yeah. It went all the way down to about 15. Probably a big reason Amazon came down in price probably as well. Right.
Yeah. So. Right. And so what I did was on that date, I actually posted in my group. And so everyone
bought it. And then the price went back.
And the price went back. Literally, I posted it in the group. My group.
Manipulating markets, Victor. You're manipulating markets.
Yeah, I almost feel like I manipulate them, but I mean, I don't mean to. And books like that, actually, I do my best not to buy the book because I don't want to seem like I'm secretly only getting, to inflate the inflate the market just for the fun of it, which
Right.
I'm here just trying to help. So
Yeah, what's also interesting is that during this time, not only do you see the used offer count ebb and flow, but you also see the review count going up again. So obviously, it kind of makes sense that if the review count's going up, obviously someone's buying it. This is actually a fascinating book to me because we've always thought that sales rank is the best metric for how often a book sells. But as time goes on, I'm actually wondering, do you think offer count changing is actually a better indicator of how often something sells?
I think that's a great indicator. I think you could, by going into Keepa, you can kind of track that.
Hmm.
You can track books that have dropped in used offer count, and that's another way to find hidden gems like this. I think
Yeah.
that's also something to be looking into when you examine books.
Victor, going along with that same thing, is offer count changing a better indicator of how often or how many copies sell? So
Mhm.
here's a book that I've not only sold, but I've also purchased on Amazon. So what I
Yeah.
want to do is first show you this Keepa graph, which is honestly doesn't look great, right? It's like sales rank doesn't drop very many times. I mean, the price was really high up here, but one sales rank drop. We traditionally think that's probably one sell. But the reason why this is really interesting is because in the past, this definitely has held some pretty good value. Like it looks like back in 2021, when the sales rank was dropping, the lowest used price was right around 100. So when this was super undervalued, I was able to pick up a copy. But if you see from my screenshots here, you can see that I sold this on 4/3. Okay, so that would be April 3rd. So what I want to do is actually just zoom into April 3rd here and show us that, okay, well, looks like April 3rd is this period of time, and you can see that the sales rank actually dropped. So that's when I actually factually sold it. And you can see, let me get rid of this review count, and let me get rid of the rating. You can see that the offer count went from 9 to 8, which makes sense. I sold the book, but then what actually ended up happening is that the offer count went from 8 to 6. And notice that if I show you my screenshots here, I actually bought 2 copies of this book right on Amazon after I sold it on April 4th, yet that doesn't actually register as a sales rank drop here. So basically, we've had 3 sales here. The way I know that is I sold this copy and I bought
Mhm.
these 2 copies, yet we only
Yeah.
see 1 sales rank drop and we don't see another sales rank drop here. So my question for you here is, what do you think? Do you think offer count changing could actually be a better indicator of how often something sells? Because again, looking at this point in time where you see offer count changing all the time, you don't necessarily see that many sales rank drop.
Wow. I mean, yeah, you're right. I knew for a fact that Keepa doesn't track everything. Like it's
Right.
basically it's impossible. So
Right.
one of the ways that you kind of honed into the use offer count, I think, is a really great way to kind of see if a book is selling.
Okay.
Sometimes I think why it goes down, why the used offer count goes down, but there's no sales. I've and historically thought it's because it was a Goodwill or something, and they sold the book on eBay. So
Right.
they took the book off without selling it, but it looks like it was sold because they sold it on eBay or something. And that's what
Right.
I've kind of historically had. But you kind of showed that no, actually you can buy the book and still they actually don't. Keepa actually doesn't keep track of that besides on the used offer count. So definitely something to be looking into.
I've gone back to a lot of my orders, especially through the fact that I sell books that generally don't tend to sell super often, according to Keepa, which you can see definitely is not perfect at tracking everything. And I've been just being observant, just saying, hey, I sold this book on this day, and it
Mhm.
sales rank did or didn't drop. And one thing that I'm starting to notice with the data I'm looking at is it seems like when I sell the book, it seems like the sales rank registers, but a lot of the time when I actually buy the book on Amazon, the sales rank doesn't drop. And so maybe I'm starting to form a new hypothesis, which is maybe Amazon knows that I'm a buyer and that by buying the book to flip it, I'm not actually a customer who's going to the webpage to buy it. And therefore the book's coming more popular. So maybe Amazon's algorithm knows that I'm buying the book to resell it. And therefore they're going to say that this book is actually not getting more popular, even despite the fact that used offer count drops, people buy it. So I'm not sure what your thought is about that. I mean, we're getting into conspiracy theories or conspiracy theories, but it's interesting, right?
It is. I've never even thought of it that way. I
Yeah.
don't know. I haven't really gotten that deep into the Keepa analysis to that point. But I will. I mean, I'll start buying. I'll keep track to see if it even found me or not.
Yeah.
That I bought that book. I haven't actually looked at it that deeply. But yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I know it's out there.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go back and forth behind the scenes, and there's always everyone. There's gonna be a part 2 to this. You already know there's gonna be a part 2 to this. So we're already at 47 minutes, so we definitely got some time left, but there'll definitely be a part 2. One question I have for you is, how much weight do you give to the offers tab on Keepa? So Keepa has a little offers tab, and that allows you to see stock quantity of sellers over time. Do you give or assign any weight to maybe seeing stock quantity change, or do you not even look at that?
I don't look at it.
You don't look at it? Okay.
I don't look
Super
at it.
simple. I don't even look at it.
If you see a book from 1990 or 1984 that has been selling every year for $60 or $40 every year, it's not important to me who sold the book for $40. I just know it sold every year for $40.
Right.
I want to be one of the sellers selling it for $40. That's pretty much what I do. I do know that you can do that. I knew there's offer count. I mean, there's like the offers tab under data. Kind of track to see who sold it when they went out of stock. I do know all of that, but it's kind of not that important when it's easily seen in a graph like that. If I couldn't tell in a graph and I really needed more information, sure. But if I have to get to that level, I don't want to buy the book. Because at that point, it's already like, it's kind of iffy, right?
Yeah.
It's like I have to get more information to decide whether or not I want to buy it. No,
Right,
I need to look at this book and like, I want to buy this today.
Right. So you want to have the information that it's actually selling, and there's a lot of historical data to suggest as a pattern. And that makes sense. That's kind of your business model. Let's transition to prep centers. I know that you have 2 prep centers. I know one of them is Little Owl. I'm pretty sure the other one's Central Virginia Prep, although that could be wrong. So maybe you can tell me about that. But I'm curious, is there a strategic advantage to having 2 prep centers, or why do you have 2 prep centers?
Well, in business, you try to minimize your risk, which is why I also do seasonal books. So I don't have IP complaints or counterfeit complaints. The same thing with prep centers. I minimize my risk by having more than one prep center. I have one in Ohio and one in Louisiana.
Oh, Louisiana.
Yeah. And so one is prone to hurricanes. One's prone to like winter storms, right?
Yeah.
Snowstorms. And both of them can close randomly for a week or something because both of them are going through something. And and so I need to be able to shift. I need to be versatile in that. Cool. Both prep centers have helped me out through every little challenge that Amazon has given me. Like, say for instance, when we had those restock limits that have really made things really challenging on us. Little Owl, he's awesome. Like I didn't skip a beat, right? Hey, you can only send in 2,000 books to Amazon. Okay, cool. Basically, Little Owl just kept holding my books. He has a 20,000 square foot warehouse. He just held my books for me until it was like, okay, now it's time to go again. And then shipped off the 800 books that he held for me. So I have Little Owl and a prep center in Virginia called 70815 Prep. And he only does books.
Right? Louisiana, right? Okay.
Louisiana. And he only does books. And to me, he's perfect. He is like very hands-on, very like, hey, he'll tell you that there is a page and page 65 that has a little scribble on it. He'll put that in the notes and stuff, which most prep companies aren't willing to do. He'll take off stickers, which I don't normally even need him to do, but he'll take off high school book stickers. He'll do all of that for a very similar price than Little Owl. So
awesome.
both are great companies, and I really say most of my success also is from their help. And we've grown together. Little Owl and me when I started with Little Owl, he was in his garage. I was maybe his like 4th customer. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
And I've been pushing Little Owl in my group since 4 years ago. And he's grown into this massive warehouse guy who does way more than just books these days. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Right now I'm using Central Virginia Prep. Shanna is amazing. Central Virginia Prep is amazing, but that's a really interesting perspective of diversifying your risk, that you have these different regions in the United States that are prone to disasters. You never know, right? It's like, well, one thing I do know is Christmas is coming every year. One thing, right? So I need to make sure I get my books there in time. Now, prep centers are a way of leverage, right? They're a way to leverage time so that you don't have to spend all your time boxing up hundreds and hundreds of books. Now, you mentioned you don't have a VA, which is another leverage of your time. So I'm curious, why haven't you gone the route of picking up a VA?
Yeah, I haven't figured out what to do with a VA. I have like my business is pushed towards data, right? I am looking for patterns, and once I find the pattern, I don't need there's nothing like I could live off of the 8,000, about 10,000 books that I'm tracking, and that's it. Like, what would the VA do for me? Look at the same books I just had and buy them in that month, like in May. Hey, buy these books. I don't know. I mean, maybe it seems so trivial what that person would do for me that I haven't really kind of decided to do a VA just because I would just hey, there's this list I made. Go and buy those books. I don't know. I just, for me, they're not there. I know for a lot of people, they do have VAs because they're looking at on Keepa deals and they're trying to be on it and trying to find that one book that drops and stuff like that. That's not my that's not my model. So I don't need a VA to do that.
Okay. No, that definitely makes sense if you got all the data and you found all the books. And obviously that's your expertise anyways. That's really cool. How exactly do you track the books that you buy on Amazon? Because I think I was kind of going through your Facebook group and it seems like
Mhm.
you track books a little bit differently than I do. I definitely do it very inefficiently, everyone, and I mean, not super inefficiently. I have Seller Ramp and there's a Google Sheet integration, but upon looking at your Facebook group, it looks like you can actually download the order history from your Amazon like customer account. So could you walk us through how exactly do you track the books? How do you sync that up with your prep center? And then ultimately, how does that sync with one of your repricers?
So one of the things I do, I really try my best to cut down admin time, right?
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what you have to do to be successful. And so I look for ways, hacks, whatever shortcuts to get that done. So one of the
Okay.
things is Amazon provides. You can just Google Amazon seller. No, Amazon order report. Amazon order
Okay.
report, and basically go there, type that in, and it's an Amazon part of their like behind the scenes, and you
Okay.
literally just click on it and you can pick any type of the last couple of weeks, the last month, last 3 months, whatever you want to just download it. And
Okay.
you literally just download it. And then if you want to, then upload that same spreadsheet back to Little Owl. And
Wow.
that's it. I don't have to kind of think of anything else. It's just once a week, I go in there on Sundays, download this report, get this spreadsheet, and then reload it back into Little Owl. And
Wow.
there's nothing else I do. I don't put anything else in there.
That's amazing. And so obviously the books that are on that spreadsheet should show up at Little Hour and they probably do some sort of check to make sure you get those books. I'm
That's
interested to
correct.
know how does that then sync with your repricer? And then I know for a repricer, you have to get a min and a max price in there. So how do you get those values?
Okay, good point. So yeah, so what I do is say that one of those high school books goes into Little Owl. I load in the spreadsheet so they know that it's coming in a week or whatever. It comes
Okay.
in. Little Owl then preps the book and sends it off.
Okay.
In between the time they send it off to the time it actually gets to Amazon, I go and price that book. But most of the time, I've already bought that book. I already have it
Uh-huh.
in stock, so I would
Mhm.
know what to list it as. Okay, so
Okay.
basically I just look at the last time I listed this book, $35.99, okay, and the max price at $84 or whatever. And so
Okay.
I put those minimum max, and then I go
Cool.
to the Amazon repricer. So I don't even have a repricer outside of Amazon. I use Amazon's repricer and
Oh,
just put
wow. Okay.
I just put in either match or 1 penny less than the lowest FBA price, and
Okay.
I put that in, and that's it.
And that's how it works. Wow, super simple. Yeah, that was kind of game changing, honestly, that you could just download your order history report. That's really interesting. I have to definitely look more into that and figure out how to do that. But that's super interesting. Now we are getting at close to an hour, and I feel like the value of this for me has been through the roof. So I bet this value is going to be through the roof for a lot of my viewers. One thing that I noticed in your Facebook group not too long ago, maybe about a month ago, you kind of hosted, I think, like a free masterclass for beginner, intermediate, and more advanced sellers. And unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to go ahead and look at that. But I want to give you the opportunity first to shout out your Facebook group. And then also, if there's ever going to be those free master classes again, and just in general, where can people find you?
I started my group, 4 years ago, a little over
Mhm.
4 years ago, just to help out people.
Okay.
I see it as a way to give back. So I have
Yeah.
not charged a cent for anything. I don't
Okay.
plan on. That's never going to be my thing. I'm gonna continue to help out wherever I can, however I can. And so I realize that some people learn better like visually, and some people can grasp everything I have in my Facebook group. That is the
Right.
main reason why I actually started the Facebook
Okay.
group, because I was helping one by one. I was helping a person and then the next person and the next. I was getting kind of repetitive, so I was like, okay,
Right.
what can I do? I can basically start a Facebook group and say, hey, here's all the information.
Mhm.
And that kind of worked for the 4 years. And then I decided, you know what, I really need to help out more. Plus, just recently I actually retired from my job.
Let's
So
go.
so I decided that it was well, and like it was okay for me to actually go on video, and I decided to host these 4 training classes. I basically started from why books, why did I pick books, why you should probably look into books, and then kind of go from there. I even went to the point of like, okay, these are the books you should be tracking.
Mhm.
This is how to make sure to be the top, like the first person to buy the book. That if a price drops, I want you to be first, and this is how you do it. And so
Uh-huh.
I taught classes like that in the group. I did these 4 classes. I am planning on doing it again. I don't know. I have a specific date or something, but I do want to help. it depends on, if we have more people in the group. If I get more
Yeah.
people in the group, sure, I want to keep going
We're
on that.
flooding everyone. Everyone needs to flood to this group because the value
All
is
right, so
insane.
the books group is Amazon bookseller seasonal arbitrage, and
Right.
that is the group I started, like I said, almost 4 to almost 5 years ago. So, and that's how you can find me.
Awesome.
And you just kind of ask to be a member or just DM me, and I'll start helping you out.
Awesome. Yeah, Victor, this has been amazing. I can't thank you enough. There's so many golden nuggets that I'm going to apply to my own business now that we've talked about this. Has been super awesome. Just talking with you, talking strategy, talking Keepa, tracking seasonal books, even that are not textbooks, because like I said, I spent maybe 20 minutes last night in Product Finder and found a handful of books that I was like, oh, I should be buying these books. This is absolutely insane. Now, one question I actually have for the community is, for my community, my YouTube community, is I'm into FIRE. Victor just fired. That means financial independence, retire early. So that means he left his job and now he's technically financially independent. Like, he technically would never ever need to work in his life again because he's built up a net worth that passively is going to basically grow 8% a year, and that's enough to pay for his living expenses. So I'm just curious, for
That's
my
correct.
audience, I don't really talk about that, even though my YouTube ironically kind of started that way. So I'm wondering if anyone is interested in content like that. If you are, let me know in the comments down below. But Victor, thank you so much for being here. I had such a blast, and I'll see everyone on the next one. So take it easy, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye.